Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our creative conversation with Hen Chicks Studio in Conrad, Iowa. We are so glad you are here as we get all of our pieces and parts together and let people join us for a minute. Just give me a second as we make sure everything is going correctly. We love technology that can bring us together from across the country. So we're so excited to have you with us this evening. Again, I'm Heidi Kaisand, and I'm the owner of Hen Chick Studio. We're a quilt shop and retreat center in Conrad, Iowa. And I welcome to our this evening, I welcome my co-host of the evening, Roseann Kermes. She's joining us from a little to the north in Minnesota. Are you quite to the North Pole? Not quite.
Not quite to the North Pole, honey.
Not quite to the North Pole.
Halfway.
But Roseann is a quilt shop owner. Rosebud's Cottage is her shop, and she and I have been friends. I can't even count the years anymore, but we love to chat and to interact, and I knew she would be the perfect co-host this evening to join us as we welcome our guest. And our guest tonight is Pat Sloan. Good evening, Pat. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good here in Virginia.
Well, wonderful. And as we, I know people are getting on, they're joining us, and we want everybody to be able to enjoy this great conversation that we're having with Pat this evening. And Roseann and I are gonna, I'm gonna say, probably hit you hard with all those creative questions tonight. Are you up for the challenge?
Oh, I guess, yes.
Yes. Oh, good. Oh, good. We're glad you're up for the challenge. And so again, we welcome you tonight, everybody that's joining us for our creative conversation. This is the first time that we've done something like this, and it makes for a creative challenge for all of us to be able to do something different. And Pat, I'm going to start off some questions as we get going, but I'm going to start off with the fact that doing Facebook Live, doing posts, and this whole social media craze, you are, I think, the queen of doing social media. And is this something that you thought would be a part of your daily routine, when you started quilting?
Probably not right when I started quilting, but I was actually online with quilters back in like 98. So there were quilters, and I was on the hunt. I'm a technology person, so I was like, there's got to be quilters out there. Where are they? And Roseann and I actually met that not maybe a year or so after that, maybe around 2000 or something, on Delphi boards. So that's how long Roseann and I have known each other.
Yeah, I think it was 1998. You and I were both in those, some of those Delta, and we were one of the first ones on Facebook.
Yeah,
back in the day.
back in the day.
Oh, and you guys probably actually know each other longer, because I believe, if I'm correct, it was 20 years ago, in 2001, when we were in the famed
Atlantic City.
Yes, when I first met you, Pat. So
yes.
It seems like it was just yesterday, because there were so many of those things.
I was in awe meeting you, Heidi. I was so excited to meet you.
Well, and hey, it was mutual, and I still have the quilt that was hanging in the back of your booth it had ships on it.
Yeah.
Boats.
Sailboats and American flags.
Yes. And I still have that pattern, because I still think it is just a charming one. So it was a great pattern then, and it's still a good classic. Still a good classic.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, there's so many different things that we would love to talk with you about this evening, Pat. And I think why not have us discuss a little bit about how did you get started quilting and finding that inspiration, because I don't think that was your first career. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, my first career was in computers. So I was a tech person, a software developer, and that's what I did. But I always made things, and I sewed. I learned to sew in a home ec class in high school, but I didn't know anything about quilts. And eventually, one of the gals on my staff, when I was working computers, she quilted, and so she's like, "You really need to quilt," and I'm like, "I don't think so. I'm not going to cut all that little stuff up and put it back together." And she goes, "Oh, no, you're going to love it." And so, so she signed me up for classes. And, basically I pretty much always wanted to own my own business at some point. And eventually this was interesting enough. And I had started to learn a little bit about the business side of it and thought, well, that is where I would like to change careers and give it a go and try it out.
Pat, did you start out with hand piecing, or did you start out with machine piecing right away?
In the Learn to Quilt class, it was all hand piecing.
Okay.
Because, even though sewing machines had been invented, we were not allowed to use them in class. You had to learn by hand, which actually you guys probably are the same. I mean, that's a wonderful building block to your techniques, is to know how to piece by hand.
Yeah, that's the way I learned as well. And you're right. So you remember a lot of those techniques and steps forever.
You know how to fix things.
Yeah.
I think because really know how they go together.
Yeah. Well, the rotary cutter wasn't even available when I started, and I learned with a pair of scissors, and my grandma showed me how to pull threads to cut fabric. So
yeah,
it certainly, there's a lot of tools that have changed in that time.
We like our tools.
Oh, and when Roseann said, did you start with piecing or applique? Do you have a preference? Do you have one that you prefer? Like, do you prefer piecing versus applique?
I would say when there was a point I started out piecing, but I always wanted to do things that were shapes. But it took a while because everybody appliqued by hand in my world. There was no other way. So I had to learn how to applique by hand. And I wasn't that keen on learning that. But once I did, that became a huge passion for quite a while. And then I went to fusible applique because as a business, that's a lot faster. I can produce things a lot faster. And then now I have migrated back to doing a lot of patchwork, just with a little applique tossed in. So it evolves. It'll probably shift again. I got a lot of years left.
Absolutely. Okay. So you also said, tools, we love our tools. So as we're talking about that, what are the favorite tools, or what is the favorite tool that you have to have? I mean, like what's in reach of you? You're obviously in your sewing room. Is there something that you just always have in reach of you?
I'm a real basic person. I'm like kind of boring like that, even though I have a lot of different tools. I mean, I use just the basic things, the basic seam rippers, and there's a couple of rulers, like it's not here right now. There should be one right there, but it's actually up on the table, for squaring half square triangles. So, and I'll try things out, but when I'm doing just basic patchwork, I just use kind of the basic stuff. So,
yeah. Well, and quilting doesn't have to involve a ton of tools if you don't want it to.
Right. Yeah. I've recently been doing a lot with the die cut with the AccuQuilt machine, using that more. And Roseann is actually somebody who, has used those forever, the die cut machines. And really, I don't know why, Roseann, I waited so long.
I tried to convince you,
I know.
Because, they're fun and they're fast. They have a lot of different applications, and when you finally took the deep dive, I was actually a little surprised, but it took so long to get you there.
Yeah, I don't know, because I just sort of do those things the way I know how to do them, and you do have to think through a little bit when you change techniques for any kind of a tool. You have to change your thinking a little bit. And that's, sometimes it's easier just to do what you know.
Yeah.
I love that. I use a Sizzix die cut, but
Oh,
a
yeah.
die cutting system. I mean, it's the same. I mean, those kinds of systems are so good. I love it for cutting the shapes. When you talked about cutting shapes,
Mhm.
wool applique is one of my favorite things to do. And the die cut machine makes it so easy to get even, I'm gonna say, quite intricate shapes so that I can add those to my work. So that's a fun way to use it as well.
And they're real consistent. I mean, they're, like when you hand cut something, you definitely know it's been hand cut. I mean, it's hard to be that beautiful and get a shape, so precise.
Mhm.
When, the
Mhm.
machines do it really nicely for you.
Mhm. Well, as we're talking, and I think we should all discuss a little bit about the surroundings that we're sitting in, because I think, I know, let's put it this way, I know that those who are watching are wondering where each of us is, and maybe what is behind it. So let's start with Pat.
Okay.
Why don't you tell us where you're at, and maybe point out something that's around you.
Yeah. So this is my studio. So those of you who watch my YouTube every day, this is the room I'm primarily in. I'm just up against the side wall at the moment, which you don't see this view very often because I'm sitting at my desk. But behind me is my design wall, and I have the birdsong, the strawberry shortcake quilt up there. And then this is the sidebar, which usually is full of junk. And then machines back there. My sewing machine's over there. So
And isn't the red and white quilt that's, I'm gonna say, isn't that from the cover of?
this is in the newest book, the celebrations and the
Oh.
holiday book. And so this is the red and white version of Liberty Hill, which is in that book, in navy and white, with navy and white polka dots.
And since you mentioned that the quilt behind you is from Birdsong, I think we should tell everybody how exciting it has been that in talking with Benartex in the last couple of weeks, once we talked about doing tonight, I was able to get a shipment of Birdsong sent to Hen Chick Studio, and it's not even scheduled to release until like May.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they get small bits to work with in the beginning, the fabric companies do. So they're
Yes.
very nice to you, Heidi.
Oh, and I am so excited. So it's a great, what a pleasure to be able to have that beautiful fabric here and be able to highlight that. And so all of that is available on our website. Okay. And Roseann, let's have you tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I'm in Pat and you guys both know that for the last 6 months we've been renovating our basement so I can move my workplace from the downtown area where I live to my house. And so it's pretty stark in here, but we've got all the basics in place now. I managed to find a couple holiday quilts to put on a ladder. And so I'm in this new space that's in my house, and it's just really nice. I've got die cut machines set up. I've got my wool area. I've got sewing machines. It's still working. I'm bringing in a few more pieces before we give up our lease next year. But it's kind of nice to have everything at my house and not have to get into the car to go and do stuff. So
And everybody needs to know that Roseann generally calls her workspace the hideout.
yeah.
So
that was, my husband christened that. I had it for a long time, for probably a year and a half. And at the time I had my store as well. And I don't think my employees even knew that I had this place. And then one day my husband called me up and said, the landlord is putting out this big sign for you because everybody else in the building has a sign. So you need one too. And it's like, and he goes, it's not a hideout anymore. so that's where it kind of stuck. So
it's the best name. Everybody needs a hideout.
Yeah, it was for 15 years. It was a great space. Very hard to give up because it was a place I went to make and create and to work, and it was just my place to go to. But little by little, this place is turning into that for me, and it is nice to be home, especially on these snowy days.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, you have snow. Now on the ladder, the beautiful tree quilt. Is that a pattern?
It's, I was trying to remember, it's a pattern that we got permission to use for a quilt retreat a long time ago. And a lot of people have asked me what the name of it is. I can't put my fingers on it and stuff, but it's just a small wall hanging, but we did it in our retreat as a mystery. So they came with so many greens and, all that kind of stuff. So people throughout there was a 4-day retreat, they got different clues to make, but I honestly, I don't know the name of it. Maybe one of my friends knows. If I find out, I'll let you know, but
Otherwise, it'll remain a mystery. It was a
yes.
mystery. It'll remain a mystery. Now, the
Well,
little,
usually I have all that stuff. I can usually find it, but this one I don't know.
and the little wool embroidery piece in front, though, is one
Oh.
of your designs, isn't it?
Yeah, this was in the
cute.
APQ calendar. It's a
Oh.
wool applique on linen.
I like it.
Beautiful.
And
Yeah, that
gorgeous.
was a couple years ago that it was up there. So
Beautiful.
good stuff.
And okay. Anything else about your space there, Roseann?
No, my little cat keeps coming up on the table, and she's very curious what's going on. And
She might want to be on air yet this
she might
evening.
want to be on air. Yeah.
Yes. Well, and then I am actually sitting in my store in Conrad, Iowa. It's Hen Chick Studio. We're a full service quilt shop and retreat center. And so what you're seeing behind me is both Birdsong and Morrison Park. We've got the Birdsong panel hanging up here. There's some other Benertex fabrics. Be the Light is behind me as well. Another good Benertex collection. And obviously you can see some of the quilts and different things that we have here. So that's where I'm at this evening. Wanted to be able to be here and talk with both of you. So
I need to come to your store someday. Someday when I go on the road for vacation, I'm going to stop in.
yes, I-80 goes, I think, all the way out to you, probably close. It's got to
Yeah.
be close to you.
Yep.
And so we're just north of I-80 about, I don't know, 25 miles, maybe 30 miles. And so we're not too far off the beaten path. People can find us and stuff. So, oh, well, good to know about the spaces and everything. I think we've answered a few questions along the way. And if anybody does have a question, you're welcome to put it in to the comments. My staff member, Jamie, is helping us and helping us guide us with any questions that need to be answered. And anyway, so as we go. All right, let's see. What should we ask Pat next?
How about I know, Pat, you're always reorganizing your sewing space. I see you doing this a lot on Facebook, tweaking it and stuff. So what are some of the things you do when you reorganize? Like, how do you decide what stays, what goes, new places to put things?
I have a pretty small home. I have no basement and no workable attic. So basically all the business is in this room and now in my dining room. So, basically 2 rooms of the house always had to be part of the business. And so that means I have to really keep a tight ship. And because I am a business, I work differently than the people would at home. Those of you who are doing this as your hobby, you can collect lots of stuff. And so, but you also have space limitations. So, mine tend to get filled up quickly because as a business, people send me stuff to work with and look at and use. So I tend to have to keep the things that one, I really, really love, and review that. Like it's hard sometimes. You was like, oh, it's, and don't keep a lot of stuff that's very similar. So you might get in like fabric collections and you're trying to reduce your fabric to, to have the things you really love. Well, maybe you have like 5 pieces of yellow fabric that all look really similar. Well, don't keep all 5 of them. Keep one that's that sort of tone on tone or whatever. There's tools that come and go. Like you might try it and then decide, that didn't really do much for me. It didn't work for my brain because I think our brains that's why there's so many tools, because we all work a little bit differently. Things speak to us. So don't keep those things that you find were not that in tune with you. but basically I just have to keep that going all the time and put, and as a business, I don't keep a lot of older fabric. I sort of move that out. I have a group now. I have a friend locally who works with a lot of different charities. And so things can go to them, which then go to the charity organizations to use for making quilts. So it all
Yeah, you
works.
always have really cute storage things like the little red and white basket on the.
Yeah, those baskets, those are from the Container Store a long time ago, like 15
Wow.
years ago. But occasionally you can find that style in like Target and stuff, but I've rarely seen them in red and white again. Like whatever the color of June of like what January organizing is, or they'll have them in pink or purple or taupe or something. But yeah,
Well, one of the problems I'm having as I move, have to get rid of a lot of things is I have so many things that are some meaning to me, are special to me. Do you have that? Do you have that problem?
Not really. I'm not terribly sentimental.
Okay.
So that's helpful. That's really helpful.
Yeah.
I also am one that can sort of keep just a small bit of something, like instead of keeping the 3-yard piece of something you love, I could keep just a quarter of a yard, to use maybe somewhere. But yeah, I'm not terribly sentimental. There are a few things, but yeah. So those of you who are sentimental, I feel for you. Because that's hard. That is hard. Yeah, I know.
And Roseann and I've had this discussion a little bit too, is that whose memory is it?
Mm-hmm.
And so often it's our memory, and it's not going to be my children's memory, and it's not going to have any meaning to them. So it's more of like, what do I want to do with that memory, and how do I want to deal with that kind of thing. Like I am very sentimental when it comes to like my grandmother's quilts, but I'm at the point where, as I try to sort through things, the antique quilts I bought, I have no sentiment attachment to them. And it's like, I'm ready to figure out how to move those on so that I can really enjoy my grandmother's quilts more, and not worry so much about housing some of the antique quilts that I have.
Yeah, it's like prioritizing. You have to prioritize which are the most sentimental, and then down to, that was just cute. Like the very first antique quilt I ever bought, I still have that, but like it doesn't have a lot of sentimental value. There was nobody in my family quilted, so I have no family antique quilts, except we did get one of Greg's grandma's quilts, and so we have that. But
well, I think your one point too about passing things on to somebody else who can use them is important. When I have been purging things, I'm looking at something that's like, maybe it doesn't mean much to me anymore, but it could mean something to somebody else.
Find that community of people that needs the supplies, and feed them those supplies, because then you feel good, that it's
and they're making their own memories then with what you've given them. Those are important things.
We just had that situation here in the store this afternoon where a customer came in, and we don't know the situation very well, but obviously not a lot of funds, illness involved, different things. And to the point that she wants to make things, but she does everything by hand because she doesn't have a sewing machine. And she asked if we could help her cut things. And of course, I was in the midst of getting ready for this, and my first reaction was, I would be glad to, but I can't right now. And then all of a sudden it was like, it hit me. And I said, just a minute. And I went back, and Roseann, remember that bucket of rotary cutters that you gave to me? I grabbed one out, probably not the sharpest blade. I have a little mat that had been given to me as a gift from a notions company, not using it. Grabbed the ruler that was slightly chipped, kind of thing. And again, and I gave it to her. And I said, Merry Christmas. Because I thought, if I empower her to feel like she could cut and could, do those kinds of things on her own, that even if I can't provide a sewing machine, but the things were sitting around doing nothing for us. You
Right.
know, we only can use one rotary cutter at a time at a table.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I love passing things on when I possibly can.
Yeah, I think it's important. And she's probably at home tonight looking at all those things and trying to, exploring how to use them and stuff. And I think
Yes.
those things are important.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I would agree. We're going to take what I'm going to call a quick commercial break,
Yeah.
as we might call. And I just am going to share my screen here for a second and give you guys a chance to get a drink of water if you need to. You're still on air, so do remember that. But yeah, don't think that you're not. You're not going away. You're not going away. But we are so excited to have Pat with us tonight, and I certainly want to thank some of the companies that Pat works with in helping us make sure that we had a few special things this evening. And if you did not sign up for the insider email and are still wanting to do that, you can still do that. So be sure to go to our website and basically sign up for the event tonight, and you will be able to get that insider email. We'll be sending a recording out of this tomorrow. So we've got Birdsong, which is a beautiful new collection. Again, we've got the early edition, and we're so excited to be able to have that. We also got Morrison Park in, and this is just the blue and green version of that collection, but just a lovely piece. It is all also on our website for sale. Everything I'm showing you. You cannot go wrong with Pat's beautiful threads. This is the perfect box of neutrals. And I think we could have a whole discussion about why you liked these colors and why, how you have them fit in, but I can tell, I know that several of the colors are ones I always go to. And so Aurifil is the brand of thread that are featured here. Again, just great pieces. And from Martingale, we have the Teach Me to Machine quilt book on our website, and you can pre-order the brand new, won't even be available till April 1st, Tantalizing Table Runners. That new book will be available April 1st, and you can pre-order that on our website as well. So just a few things that that are going on. And Pat, one more little thing that is laying on your counter, and I saw it behind you, is the first project that will be featured in our Hen Chick Studio Feathered Friends monthly subscription program. And this is just a little glimpse at the 12 projects from designers that will be featured throughout each of the months. Each month, everybody gets a Chick Chatter newsletter. And then product based on the amount of product is based on the level that you come in at. So we've got chick, hen, and rooster, of course, and that's exactly in the order. The chick's the little one, hen's a little bigger, the rooster's the big dude. You can learn all and more about that at henandchickstudio.com/feathered-friends. About that monthly program. And I'm going to stop sharing the screen so that you can show us you're the project. Why don't you put that up? And this is going to be in the newsletter, in our Chick Chatter newsletter in January. And we're so excited to have Pat. There'll be an interview with Pat that's featured in there, and some other little bits of information. So we're so excited to have you included in that, Pat.
I don't know if you can see the quilting on the back. There's a big, like a
yes, like a snowflake.
Yeah. So
Nice.
This is a fun one. So got some.
I like that it looks like it's fun to do, easy to do.
Yeah.
You can get done quickly and be using it.
Yes. Yes.
And if you're allergic to applique, you can just do the center part. But you should, this is easy applique. The mittens, no lost mittens. Nobody's going to lose their mittens.
So cute.
I like it. I like it. Well, we're so excited to be kicking that off in January. And that is, one of the reasons why I thought it would be fun for our customers to get to know you better, as well as meet some new customers that are probably fans of yours, that they might get to meet Hen Chick Studio. So that's really fun to have you along on that ride as well.
Thank you for picking my things.
Yes, absolutely. And there's a lot of other things that go on at Hen Chick Studio. I know there've been some questions on Facebook this evening about our Stash Buster program. If that is something that you're interested in learning more about, please go to our website and there is a tab called Stash Buster. You'll learn everything you want to know about our Stash Buster program. It can be done from anywhere. That's one thing that COVID has changed about business for us, is that our boundaries are way beyond Conrad, Iowa, and we love that. We love how big our family is getting. And the other thing that a lot of people are commenting about is we do have, much like you, Pat, have a group of Facebook groups, and we can talk a little bit about that. We have a Facebook group too. So if you like socializing and bopping from one group to another, come on over to Hen Chick Studio and join us in those. So I'm going to get back to some questions for Pat. And Pat, you do quilt alongs. So
Yes.
why don't we talk about what is a quilt along? How do you join in? Is it what is it? Just tell us, what is it?
Yeah. Well, I've done quilt alongs forever and ever, probably almost since I started quilting, and then as a business. Basically, it's joining a ongoing, I wouldn't call it a class. It's more just like a social way of everybody making the same project. It could be a project, you know what it is, and it's broken down into parts. So maybe it's a quilt and it's broken down by rows, and every week you do a different row. It could be every month you do a different block. It could be every week you do a different block. It could be a mystery where you don't know where it is and where it's going. But pretty much for mine, you go to I have a sew along website called I Love to Make Quilts, and I have all the different projects there. They have a project page. I tell you what fabrics I'm using, whether the project is a free one, like a lot of like my Block Wednesday, or whether it would be using a paid pattern, or like we're doing one from my book where I did a sampler from blocks from the book called Happy Everything. So there's all different varieties. Mine tend to always have some sort of underlying theme. Like we just did Fall Frolic. And so every week when the block came out, it was a memory about fall, like the leaves, or being able to wear your sweater for the first time, something that encompasses that. And it's being able then to make that and then show it within the community being online in Facebook or in my website. I have a photo sharing ability for a lot of my art and in my articles. So those are the two places where you can share a photo of your work and just have the fun. It's fun to see what the other people did, what their fabrics were, to be motivated to keep up. And get a quilt done. You can use your scraps. You could buy something new. So there's tons of flexibility for all of it.
And so, okay, so the things that are going through my mind, how many hours a day do you quilt?
Yeah.
Because it's your business, you know what I mean? And you're doing all these different things. Is it like a job for you that you go into your sewing room every day?
Yeah, it's a job. Yeah, it's a job. I'm here in this room all day, whether I'm online doing that, whether I'm writing things, whether I'm filming videos, whether I'm doing blocks. I mean, as a business, I do have a friend that helps me sew some things. So she'll sew some blocks for some of the projects. So then I don't have to sew all of the things, and I have long armers who quilt the quilts. But yeah, it's just a constant. I've been in business, 21 years full time. So it's just what I do, but I like it.
Well, of course, don't we all? And that's why I think that's why we're all in this business, isn't it? I mean, I was here about 7 o'clock this morning, and I love it. You know, I've been here for what, 12 and a half hours, and I'm not tired. I'm not ready to go home yet. I'm good. I mean, I will be tired when it's time,
Yeah,
but you know
right.
what I mean? But you know what I mean? It's,
Right.
do you sometimes find that the energy, at least I find this from our customers, the energy that they give off spurs me on. Do you find that same thing, that the energy you get from your fowlers and your quilt alongs and all of that, that it gives you energy to keep going?
Yeah, the community does, whether the community is, mostly my community is virtual. So I don't really have that interaction like you do in a shop with real people face to face. It's all virtual, but it all still feeds feeds me and encourages me and lifts me up and lifts my spirit. It's all that whole package. It doesn't, virtual is different, but it gets that same motivation.
When you touch there on keeping your motivation up, you have in the last 3 weeks, has it been 3 weeks ago that you had surgery?
Yes.
And so you had, I'm going to paraphrase, and you can give any more details, but you had some cancer on your nose.
Right.
And you had that removed. And you have been so transparent in what has been going on in your life that I find it, I'm going to say inspiring. And like, you're making a very serious topic something that's very talkable. Is that a way to say it? Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I know very little about. I had basal cell carcinoma, which is probably if you have to say the best cancer, it's the best cancer you can have because it doesn't spread like others. But I did have it, the kind that's a little bit more serious of their versions of it. So it was a pretty big hole with a pretty big. It's like something, I'm not going to hide it. There's no way I can live and work along when you've got, over 100 stitches in your nose and your face is swelled up and you're black and blue. So I thought, I didn't know anything about this. I didn't know if I saw somebody who looked like that, what had happened to them. And I wanted people to see, this is what happens. A lot of you are going to have this. It's really common. So I figured I didn't know. I would have liked to have known what it looked like, how it acted, how did people feel, what were they able to do? And I decided that I would just do that, just every day still do my videos. I did take a couple of days off because it was pretty miserable the first couple of days. And it was Thanksgiving and my birthday. So
it just all wrapped up. And like, I think you look great. You're having trouble still wearing your glasses.
Yeah.
We're so often, we're used to seeing you in your red glasses and, different glasses, but you can't wear those yet.
Yeah.
And is there any further treatment or anything that you have to do, or is this the bulk of it, or you don't know yet?
This is pretty much it. I do another visit with the surgeon who stitched it all back up, my seam lines, put my seam lines in so I see him in about 4 weeks, 3 weeks, and that'll probably be it, unless there'll probably be no complication, it just takes time to heal. And I mean, it looks, straight on and also on camera, it's a little bit more diffused, but yeah, it's still, I have to stay out of the sun and all those kind of things, but yeah, it's, and it's, it still hurts a little bit. I wake up, my eye is still swollen in the morning and then it goes down. So, it's all still healing, but 3 weeks, I'm shocked. I'm just shocked how well it is after 3 weeks, which is tomorrow.
And I can tell you, somebody posted that because of you, they were inspired to, they have their dermatology appointment on Tuesday because they haven't been there since the pandemic. And you inspired them to get that appointment. So good job in
Yeah.
in talking about something that could be considered difficult and
Yeah.
and stuff. So
Yeah.
anyway, I applaud you for doing all that. And of course, we are saying prayers all the time that it all just
Yeah.
continues. That 3 weeks from now, if you feel like you've come this far in 3 weeks,
Right.
imagine what you're going to do in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, it will all.
Wear
it
my
will all-
glasses, hopefully. That's
Yeah.
like when you wear glasses and you can't, it's really hard. It's like,
Isn't it funny the little things that you probably didn't even think
I
about
keep
or
trying to adjust them. I keep doing this. I'm like, there's no
Oh,
glass. I
Pat.
keep trying to adjust them because my nose has pressure on it.
Mhm.
Right, because it's swollen. And so that pressure tingles. And so I think the glasses are sliding. So I'm doing this.
Just don't poke your eye out.
I know. There's nothing to save me.
that is great. Well, let's see. Roseann, do you have
I have a
another
question.
question? Okay,
Yeah,
go for it.
so Pat sent me the panel from Birdsong. And I love the color. These are my colors, those kind of corals and blues and, you know, those stoneware kind of blues and stuff. A couple of questions. How did you decide on this palette? But also, how long ago did you start it? So it's just going to be starting to come into the stores. How long was that process?
The sequence of events, it generally is about 9 months,
Okay.
for those things. And every fabric manufacturer is a little bit different. Even within fabric manufacturer could be a little bit different. It could be longer. Less than 9 months is pretty tight for a fabric line, but often they take much, much longer. For me, I work with the artists who are employed at Benertex. Benertex has a staff of artists, so I work with them. And they are doing all the heavy lifting, all the drawing, and I come in with ideas and things like that. So yeah, so it was really fun because I wanted a panel and I was, I drew little sketches and then I work with the artist. Her name is Jessica, and she then takes my ideas and makes them come to life, and we build, a selection of prints then that go with the panel, but the panel kicked off this whole thing.
I'll tell you, I love the panel, and I'll tell you a couple of things I like about it is, and I think I told you this the other day, as soon as I opened it up, I wanted to pull out a hoop and floss and start filling in and embellishing it.
Oh,
And
cool.
that just, I can see them, especially the little small ones. As
Hold
little,
it up like this on
oh,
the
sure,
screen.
sure.
Because they can see it behind Heidi, but yeah,
Like
so
these
there's the
little ones
there's
at the
the yeah,
top.
up close. There's the
Yeah,
little
I just love them because of the details and stuff. I just think they'd be so cute to be embroidered and stuff.
Yeah.
And the big one, and then
Mhm.
down at the bottom, there's more of those small ones. But
Yeah.
I just think they would be fun to and stitch them and just frame them. Even if you didn't stitch on them, just to frame them or to piece around them, put some sashing around them. They'd be great little, like those 3 of them across.
Yeah.
Be a fun little table runner, just
that would be
to
super
cut
cute.
the banner apart, the panel apart. But I think all the little details in them are so pretty, and I love these colors. These colors are, hopefully you can see.
Yes.
I just love the kind of salmon kind of color, and
Yeah.
those birds are so pretty with
Soft.
that mustard. They're just, I don't know, just adorable. And there's that pretty little background. It's real soft. It doesn't take away from the panels and stuff. I love it.
Yeah. This is the fun part for me, is for other people to pick that up and look at it and think of things they can make.
Mhm.
That is for me so much fun to see and hear. It's like, oh, okay, because I wouldn't think of all those things on my own. Everybody comes at it with their own creativity. And for those of you who may not realize, Roseann does a lot of designing. You'll see her work in magazines. She's written a book. So Roseann's brain is like wonderful things coming on all the time.
It's fun though to look at something that trips that creativity trigger for you. And because of circumstances for the last year, not having really a great place to work and stuff, this is the first thing I've had come into my house that made me want to stop reorganizing and stuff, and sit down and do something with. And it's just really, really pretty, and I love it.
Oh, good. There will be a free pattern once I write it.
Get on that.
Yeah, get on that. So for Big Star quilt, so it's a big quilt using the center panel and all the small ones, and then other pieces of the fabric, and it's really cute. So.
And the picture, all of the information for that kit is on our website. So like if somebody wants to see the picture of the free pattern that you're designing, we have that and available, because I love how you cut it apart and have the different pieces. It's going to be really sweet. Although we can get you fabric, the pattern won't be available until April. So
yeah, maybe sooner, but it's not on my schedule to write it till start in January. I'll write it. So
yes, we didn't know we were going to have this special
this
fabric in advance.
This was not on my agenda right now.
That's right. That is right. But I would agree. I think the detail in the pattern and in the fabrics is lovely, and the colors. I think rose, willow. I love the colors too. It's just really, really pretty. It's very pretty.
Thank you.
When you design a collection and look at a collection, do you like to think about how it's going to react with the previous collection, or are they completely separate and standalone?
Often it depends. It really depends. Sometimes they're a little bit more standalone, and other times they can work with the other one. Like this does work, I think, well with Meadow Park, which was the previous one. But there's other times when I've been designing over the years where they're really just, the next one is really a just different thought process. So it depends. I'm not locked into that, but that's just the way I work.
Now, earlier, Pat, you mentioned that you have somebody who helps you sew a little. Now, do you have an assistant that's a four-legged assistant?
Oh, no, I have no,
You don't,
I have no pets. No.
You have no pets. Okay. So it's just Roseann that has the four-legged friend that helps.
Yes.
And is Fammy. Yes. We call her Fammy. Oh yeah, there she is.
Yes.
There she is. That's Fammy Cat. She's now famous. She's been on Facebook.
Yes.
So
she was sitting on Birdsong. So what does that say? Cats and birds?
Yeah, she's drawn to it. I love it. I love it. That is wonderful. Well, and earlier today, we were having a little bit of a dog fix here at Hen Chick Studio. So there is love for animals, because we got some fabric in with dogs on it, and dog treats for Lucy, my son's dog. So, and another question that has come out of our Facebook chat is for Pat. Where do you get your ideas from? I mean, where are you drawing that inspiration from, or do you just wake up dreaming it?
It probably doesn't sound real like exotic or anything, but I'm very project oriented. So, if I'm going to do a project, then I know that that's what the project is. And then I come up with themes often, that's how I work with a theme. And then within the themes, there'll be all the things that go to that theme. And that's all what drives that project. So, I rarely kind of wake up and go, oh my gosh, this is so cool, we got to do this. Rarely. But it does happen, that's just not my go-to way. It isn't, I'm sort of like, okay, I have to be producing one book a year or 2 fabric lines a year, or one year I did 4 books in a year, which was insane. But all of those things are just part of running the business. But I do want to show you one. Can I show you one that was I saw this and I'm like, oh, this will be something different.
Oh yes, please do.
That's what happened. Somebody was, I don't even know, one of the quilters in my community mentioned the secret lives of color of this book. Now that might not, I think it's reading backwards to you, but
no, it's good.
Okay. The Secret Lives of Color. And this is a book that was as a series with 72 colors, and the author has a 1 or 2, a 2 or 3 page story about something about that color, whether it's the history of it, how it was used somewhere, how, this sort of mysterious thing about the color. And she's researched that, which she used to write articles for Elle magazine in England. And that's how the book came about. So I decided this is where that it would be fun. The famous last words, it'll be fun. In 2022, I will every 4 or 5 days, whatever it is to get 72 in for the year, read that color and make a quilt block. So I did, and I got to make an easy block because, you know, that's the way I roll. So I'm not making 2, but these are 2 sizes. This is a 9-inch and the 6-inch turn dash. So I'm not going to, I've done it twice now where I've read the first 3 or 4 sentences of the color to get people like interested. Like, so like, you know, if you went to the page and it said Indian color, well, then I would read, you know, I read a couple of sentences, but I don't want to read them in advance. I want to read them on that day and then go to my fabric and find a color that's similar. And yes, even the color white. So there'll be white on white. I'll get, you know, for
which
those.
could be really cool.
Yeah. So there'll just be one of these. So that was my, you know, I'm very impulsive when I do those things. When I decide like something like this, then I see it and I think that would just be different and fun. And it would be fun for me, you know, because I do it because I think it's fun, you know, whether anybody else wants to sew along with me or not, or read it or not, I don't know, but I'm going to do it. And then
it's probably fun for you because you didn't have to create it.
Right.
You know,
I'm not going to write all those stories,
the pages
and it's stories. I like
Mhm.
stories. It's a theme. I like themes. It's like, it ticks all the boxes. It's like, I have fabric. It's like, I have fabric. So
do you have a favorite? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm going to do a pattern for the shoe fly. So nobody has to go look it up. I'll put a pattern out with a couple of different sizes. So you can do the size that you want. Somebody asked me if I do a 3-inch block. So sure.
Crazy.
You want to do that. If you want to do that, I'm not doing it. 3-inch block.
Do you have a favorite color palette? Like when you're talking about color and you know what I mean? All the different colors. I mean, like if you go to your stash, do you have that like, oh yeah, this is the Pat Sloan stash because it is these colors. Like if you go to mine, it's red. You know what I mean? Everything in my stash is red.
Well, I like red, you know, red, everything red. So I like red. But I use a lot of colors and I'll shift like types of things. Like, and I use a lot of people's fabrics, not just my own, because I do so many things, you know, like I can't use just one line of fabric for, you know, months and months. So I will change things. I will do something that looks vintagey. I will do something that looks bright. I would say if people want to know what color, they would say red, because my room has a lot of red and I like red, but I don't put red in all my fabric lines. You know, that doesn't fit for everything. And I don't want to use it for every single thing, but you know, I lean that way. Lean to the color red.
And my gosh, we're approaching the top of the hour. And so I'm trying to, you know, get questions in here that people are asking and you kind of addressed this at the beginning that your background is actually in computers. You don't have any formal art training, correct?
Correct. I don't have any formal art training. Yeah. I have a degree in computer science.
And just a passion for quilting.
Yes.
And that's awesome. That is awesome. Roseann, do you have any questions as we kind of just monitor on this end a little bit? Make sure, do you have a question for Pat?
Well, I know you have some new books coming out with Martingale. What's the one that's coming out in the spring? I can't, because you and I have talked about you working on it.
Table runners, the tantalizing table
runners. Yeah.
Yeah. Table toppers. It's called table toppers. Yeah. So there's runners and squares and toppers. Yeah. So a bunch of different sizes.
How many projects are in that book?
I don't know.
15. Well, I know you were sewing for it, so you lost count. Huh?
I've done one since that. So
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, there was probably about 15 projects, and that's really was a fun one. The top tantalizing toppers is going to be, you'll really like it. It was a lot of fun to do. So
I'm a huge fan of table runners, and I think that the book looks very, very nice. Just because I think table runners can can offer people quick gifts. They can change of decor.
Right. This changes
without-
for so fast, just like what you have.
Mhm.
For the mittens, no lost mittens. That you have to
right.
get from Heidi.
Yes. Yes. That's awesome. In our Feathered Friends program.
Yeah.
Oh, so many different things. Okay. Well, I mean, we can keep going. Well, obviously we could keep going. And Jamie's just double checking that there aren't any just dying questions at this moment. But, besides your color book for 2022, are there other exciting things on the horizon for you?
I mean, I pretty much run sew alongs, continuously. So I do a calendar and people can go to I love to make quilts, and they can download the calendar for the month, and it tells you what's going on, and it tells you what the future, there's second page of like the future things. So you can see what's coming up. But I run a free block a week on Wednesdays. And so every Wednesday is a free block, and that program creates like 3 different quilts during the year. Generally, the first one of the year is a little bit bigger, and then smaller, and then a little smaller, like number of weeks to do it. So by the time you get to the end of the year, we just did like a 9-block one. So to wrap the year up. And I love doing those, the Block Wednesday, because they're very easy blocks. I do a fun layout, and then I do some layouts that are really simple. So there's variety there too. So it always has a theme. It's called Sweet Dreams, starting in January. And it's all about desserts. So
Fun.
Well, and then
Fun.
so now you're bringing up food,
I know.
which is a whole nother passion of yours. You have a food blog too.
I did a
food group,
Facebook
maybe.
Yeah, Facebook group for food, kitchen adventures with Pat Sloan, just because, we all eat. And I thought,
There's great recipes in that group.
yeah.
No, I gained 10 pounds the last week because of you.
I know your staff made the cookies. They made.
Oh, Jamie made that recipe.
Oh, was that her? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Jamie made it. And let me tell you, I had no problem eating him. And my dad came and helped us with some stuff. And he came back several times getting those cookies. I mean, it was the girls ran in for after school because they didn't want to miss out on them. They were very good. So definitely good things you can find at Kitchen Adventures. So that is a good thing too. So, oh my gosh, Roseann, any last questions for you?
No, I think we've probably exhausted. Well, I mean, there's more we could have talked about, but yeah, I think.
Yes. And maybe we'll have to do this again, ladies. Who knows? Might have to get together again, but by all means, as people want to know more about Pat and want to know more about Hen Chick Studio, of course, we'll have links for Pat in a couple of different places, including on a page, especially for Pat. She's got her own page on the Hen Chick Studio website, henandchickstudio.com/Pat Sloan. And we'll put some links on there, Pat. We'll update that so that they can find your groups, the things that you've been talking about tonight, so that that's all available. And of course, the recording of this will be available as well for people to listen to on our website. So I, along with my co-host of Roseann, certainly thank you for taking an hour out of your busy schedule to join us this evening and have a creative conversation. So I guess without further ado, we wish you a very happy holiday to all of you and all of you watching. And until next time, let's be creative.
Bye-bye. Thank you.